I love it, man.
Hey guys, Cody Hoffine here, and I'm with Patrick Adair.
What's up, guys?
Guys, the 23-year-old success. This guy lives and dies by one principle that shot his business to 7 figures. And we're gonna hop into this bad boy, one of 4,000, to drive over to the shop so we can break down that principle that you can apply to your wholesaling real estate business.
Here we are in one of 4,000 made, right? Is this correct?
The Ford GT.
Okay, so there's more behind this. There's not many people that will throw out the kind of coin this takes to buy a car like this.
Yeah, and I'm like a thrifty dude, so.
So what allowed you to get unthrifty and be like,
So
you know?
this is a relatively, it's an appreciating car, which is rare. Excuse me.
And it's right into a bumper. It's like boom. So appreciating car. It's a car that.
Yeah, it's holding its value and it's even going up from there. So, not a risky vehicle to own. All I'm losing is the opportunity cost of the money.
Sure.
But that's it, and I'm hoping to use it to leverage and launch myself into another YouTube channel career through the car community where I build and film car videos.
So this is a hobby right now. Like
Yeah.
a hobby, and you want to take it to be like,
Yeah.
but this is your passion though. It sounds like this is more than just a car. It's like, have you loved cars your whole life?
Oh yeah, like, I don't know, ever since I can remember, I've loved like Need for Speed games back in the day growing up and all of that.
Sure.
So I'm huge into cars. I love the mechanics of it. I like building it more than I like driving it. I like driving it a lot, so like, it's not to say I don't like that, but it's just like the project of it. That's what I'm into. I love car builds, so.
Is there anything you'll have to do to this car? Or is this something like, nope, you don't touch this car?
This car is a car that you definitely don't touch, but this one has 30,000 miles, which, believe it or not, is very high for this. Most of them are like 3,000, 4,000 miles.
Yeah, people don't touch them.
Yeah, so being 30,000 miles, it's already significantly cheaper than most. So I can kind of do quite a bit to it without really affecting the value.
Yeah.
And everything I'm doing to it, I'm making reversible. So keeping all the OEM parts. In case this does kind of skyrocket in value over the next little bit, I can always go in and reverse all that. Hopefully I can make this ridiculous enough and still kind of classy enough at the same time that it will bump up the value a little bit, not detract from it at the very least. So we'll see how that goes, but backup plan is to take everything off, sell it, aftermarket, whatever.
So hobby, here you go. You're going to be building this channel, so it's at its infancy, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love that. I love it, man.
Very fun.
How tempted are you to like always drive with like some speed, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the cop, have you been pulled over yet?
Very
That's
tempted.
the question everyone wants to know. Have you been pulled over yet?
I've not been pulled over in this. I got pulled over right before I got this in another car and ticketed. I did a plea of abeyance for that. And so I have to be on my best behavior for the next 12 months or else I get the ticket that I get. If I get a new ticket, I get that one, plus this old one comes back to haunt me. So that's expensive, but then my insurance gets slapped with 2 tickets overnight.
Sure.
Definitely don't want any of that, so
that's phenomenal.
We're going to avoid that.
Okay, guys, you guys are going to be learning here in the next little bit what it is, his niche, because you're not going to guess. I hope you're still watching right now to find out what is this niche we're talking about. What is it he's doing that he's able to, at 23 years old, build a 7-figure business, which is just impressive. And it started with just an idea in high school.
Yep.
And now you are driving a, what?
Ford GT.
$250,000 car.
Yep.
$250,000 car. And is living to play within his hobbies, and now is able to build this future YouTube channel. And we're going to get into his current YouTube channel, how big of a success that is as well. So we're just getting ready to pull up the shop. We're going to be talking more about this here in the new bit. So get ready, because I want you to start applying what he has learned in a quick 5 years from a complete startup to now a 7-figure business.
With rings, I was like, okay, I love making stuff. I love business. I want to turn it into some actual income. So what can I make?
While in high school.
Yeah. So what?
So you're in high school and you're
Yeah.
already thinking entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I want to start something that pays me.
I was specifically interested in Kickstarter.
Okay.
So that was this huge thing. I see people making 200 grand in a month
Yeah.
off of what looks like no work. Now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's not an accident. That doesn't just happen.
Sure.
So I'm like, I want in on some of that. So I started doing some research, and I find that carbon fiber and titanium is super hot and trendy on there. I even did, like, I searched every single one of 300 projects that had titanium in the title.
Yeah.
Like 40% funded. That's versus like maybe 20% on
Yeah.
average. And then carbon fiber is even higher, it's over 50%. So I was like, that doesn't really mean anything, but that means it's people like the stuff.
Like the product.
Yep.
The
So
material used.
so titanium is kind of a lot harder to work with. Carbon fiber has its own challenges, but you don't need big tools like this lathe
Yeah.
to work on it at all. And I had nothing. So
Yeah.
I bought some carbon fiber and I started messing around with what I could make out of it. And it wasn't, I tried a few things before rings. I tried like a wallet, but that was a little too complicated. I didn't have the precise machinery or like a CNC machine to cut out the exact shape I needed every
Yeah.
time. So that didn't just work for me. I kept doing stuff and simplifying and figuring it out. And I tried a ring one day and it was quick. It was fast, it was easy, and it looked great. Like, it looked better than anything else that I'd made.
Yeah.
And it was the easiest one so far. So I was like, boom, this is it. That took me a while because I literally only had a Dremel.
Yeah.
So I hacked it out with the Dremel. I hacked out a block with carbon fiber with the Dremel. I shoved it on the end.
Yeah.
You know, just wedged it on there. Spun it around into a piece of sandpaper until it was round. So
Yeah.
I was like, that's definitely not the most efficient way of doing it. But if
But
that
it was a
is how
start.
I made it, and I was making minimum wage,
Yeah.
how much do I need to charge for it? I think it was like $30 I charged.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, $30. It takes me 4 hours to do one.
Minimum wage being what?
I think like
7 hours.
$7.50.
So you're
an
like, if I
hour.
can get $7 an hour making my own ring, like, I'm stoked. Let's do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So I was like, I did that in less than 4 hours with material costs and stuff. I can charge $30 a meeting to clear. Pretty sure I can get this down to like 30 minutes or less, but like, let's just assume it still takes me 4 hours.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what I started with because I was like, I could figure it out and work it all out, but I want the Kickstarter to go live tomorrow. Because like, I was that like, let's go. So I made
Ready,
a
fire,
simple, yeah, I made a simple Kickstarter page and I made it all on my iPhone. I made a video for it, shot on my iPhone, edited in iMovie,
Yeah.
iPhone app, and it was just simple. I didn't try to go over the top with anything. I wasn't trying to lie about who I was or be fancier than I was. Like, look, I'm a dude in my basement. I didn't say I'm a high school kid. You know, you kind of
Yeah.
want to hide the fact that you're just a little kid. If you're,
I'm not a sophomore right now.
Yeah.
I'm just a good dude making good rings.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, all right.
So kind of like you kind of play that line of like being upfront and honest, but also like you want to look a little
I'm not
legit.
throwing away all the cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do that. I think it raised about $5,000 over 30 days, which that's so cool. There's nowhere else. Like if I started a website tomorrow and posted a product, I'd probably get $30 in orders. That's one ring sold in a year.
Yeah.
If I just let that sit there. Maybe if I was lucky.
If you're
But-
lucky.
But probably zero. So that's what's so weird about Kickstarter. It's like it's like being a YouTuber with all these subscribers.
Yeah.
You can just post a Kickstarter. They just let you. So like that's what people don't realize is the value Kickstarter's offering. They should charge you 10 grand to post a Kickstarter. But
Sure.
they let you do it for free. So anyone who dislikes Kickstarter, they're a cool company, I think.
Legit.
Anyways, do the
What does that
Kickstarter.
What does that $5 do? Go to Kickstarter.
So,
5 grand comes in.
I
Is that goes
get that
towards
5
pre-orders?
grand. That's pre-order. So they're
Yep.
essentially buying the ring with a long turnaround time.
Yep.
So I then take that money, I invest in, I get my first lathe, which was identical to this.
Yep.
I get one of these, I get that very belt sander
Okay.
that you see there.
Okay.
What else? A little drill press that I still, back there in the corner, I'm still using that to this
Yep.
day. Just like the bare minimums, I didn't really know.
Now, when you say bare
exactly.
minimum, I think this is unique. We talked about this before we
Uh-huh.
even started this.
Yeah.
Are we talking you've got the best equipment on
No,
the market?
no,
Or
so
what
I-
are we talking?
So I had 5 grand. Should I go buy a $5,000 lathe? At the time, that's what everyone else around me in the industry is kind of doing is
Yeah.
like getting the best materials they can.
Yeah.
It's like maybe I invest in this lathe and that's going to take me so much further. It's like no, let's spend the least amount that I can. Let's not spend 5 grand on a lathe. Let's spend 500. So I got a $500 lathe and said let's see where this takes me. When I think that I have pushed this beyond its limit, then I'll upgrade from there. But
Sure.
until that happens, I'm going to spend 1/10 of the money, and there's 1/10 of the risk. So I did that.
But you've been doing this how many years? This is the best part. You've been doing this how many years?
5 years.
And you're still using the same
Still
lathe.
using the same lathe. I just love it. It's simple. It's easy. It's really easy to film with. Is a good thing. You can walk all around it.
Sure.
Great to work with. I also like to be relatable in my videos.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a guy with $100 grand of equipment saying, "Here's how you can make a ring at home." It's like, no.
Because everyone's like, how do I get the 100 grand equipment need to make that ring?
Step one: have 100 grand to spend on a lathe. So,
That's right. Versus just go to Harbor Freight, get a $500 lathe versus what others are doing, making the mistake of spending all this money up front. They don't even know if they have a business yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's just like, bro, before you have this residual income, let's make do with what you've got and don't spend a penny more.
Okay.
So that's how I start. Let's see. I was able to fulfill all the orders. I think I still had like 2,000 left over by the time I was done. So that's a pretty decent profit for just a hobby thing, you know. And I also got, let's not forget that I got all this equipment. So like that's a huge value, and it's not like they're useless after I'm done.
That's right.
So I've got my dream shop. I've got 2,000 left over. So I take that and I buy, I think I use that to buy a camera.
Okay.
Some lighting equipment, a few things like that.
And let me guess, you bought the top end camera and the top end lighting.
Nope. Got the
this is brilliant, guys.
Canon 70D, a very capable, but very modest camera. It definitely gets the job done. This was 5 years ago, so they have the 90D now, but it was really useful, and I have a fancier one now.
Okay.
But that's because I got the cheaper one, used it, loved it, and decided I'm ready for the next step up. So that's how that went.
Here's something unique. The question I have is, did you get fancy at that point? You're like, oh my gosh, I could build chairs, I could build tables, I could build car parts. Like, if I can do rings, I can do this. Or did you stay your lane? What was the crucial point behind
So
this?
there's definitely been some learning there. You do that and you think, okay, what's next?
The shiny object syndrome. It's like,
I'm so good at being a businessman and selling stuff.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. I'm just going to do 1,000 more different products. And I found that rings work pretty well for me.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of stayed in my lane. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So I've just been doing this. We have like slowly started branching out the teeniest bit, like pendants.
Yeah.
Like bracelets.
Okay.
That's pretty much
I think even on your YouTube video, I saw like a knife, if I remember right.
Yeah. So like knives, that's a very kind of, guys who like making rings probably also like making knives. So
but how far into your ring making career before you said, I'm going to branch out and do some of this, and what allowed you to branch?
So the second Kickstarter I did was for a cube of carbon fiber. That was it. It's a desk piece. It was just a cool looking, literally just a paperweight.
Yeah.
So that was me learning, okay, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
You know, like you gotta have it figured out. You gotta have a good product. And that was kind of me pushing the limit.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, a ring's useful, it's functional. Can I sell something that's useless? So let's try that. And I did it, and it failed the first time I did. I had a higher, I think a $15,000 goal for it.
Yeah.
And then I tried again. I relaunched the campaign with a lower limit. I think I raised like $8,000 from that. So that was awesome, but it was definitely a learning experience of like, if I had to go back, would I have done it again? Probably, but it didn't help me.
Probably
really.
For what you learned from it, or probably because it's a money-making opportunity?
Because, well, you know, $8,000 was a lot for me, and that did help a lot, and I wasn't getting orders like crazy at the time.
How old were you during this?
This
second launch?
19 or 20.
Okay. So still very young in the entrepreneur journey, and you're going out there thinking, gosh, I've done rings, let's try the paperweight, let's keep going.
Yeah, so that was me poking at like, what works? Is it just rings? Is that why I'm successful? And it's like, no, the paperweight, that was a harder sell. I had to put a lot more work into the product page for that. I had to make it look really nice, really high end. Yeah. And I had to deliver because that's what it was for. It was just a thing that looked cool. So definitely had to look the part on the page. So I did that. It was kind of worthwhile. Like I made decent money, but like I didn't, like you can't do a follow up to that. Oh, you like the first cube? Get ready for
wait till you see my second paperweight.
Yeah, exactly.
So the repeatable business was not there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like with rings, I can go crazy. There's a million different materials, metals, mammoth tooth, whatever.
Do you find out that the majority of people that bought, they're like, oh, and I want one of those too? Are there repeat buyers?
The way my business functions at this point through like the YouTube aspect is trying to get attention.
Yeah.
If you can get those eyes in to watch your videos, you're going to get people interested in your brand. They're going to go check out your website, and then they're going to order a ring.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I go crazy with materials is I just like, hey, so people aren't necessarily ordering one of every ring. And there's a lot of rings that are like, okay, it's mammoth tooth, but like it's kind of temperamental.
Yeah.
It not necessarily super durable. It doesn't look super traditional or like classy or anything. So not the ring for everyone.
But who's really teaching you this? Like,
I'm just picking it up as I go.
And you're just making this up. Like, there's not a mentor over you saying, oh, and when you use mammoth tooth,
nah.
you do this. Like, you are the pioneer of majority of your products.
So it's tricky, but when you look back on it and you see it all as a whole, you're like, wow, that's crazy. How could you ever do that? But like, day by day, I started with carbon fiber, and then one day I tried another material. It cracked and broke, and I tried again, and it worked. I was like, okay. And then like the next time I made a ring out of it, I was like, oh, that's why it cracked. Let me not do that in the future. And I figured that out. You know, I can figure out one of those things every week. And now I've got wood on the outside, carbon fiber on the inside. And now I add one more, ingredient to my kind of tool.
Yeah.
My repertoire. So at that point, you're kind of got it down. You kind of get familiar. Then at a certain point, you kind of, some materials are fragile. Some materials have a lot of like natural fracture lines in them. Some of them are soft and they're going to absorb like oil or water if you try to polish them like that. So you got to keep them super clean as you machine them and sand them. And then you have to seal them up really quick. You have to put a hard finish over the outside so that it can't absorb any of those materials. So eventually you kind of figure it out. There's only so many properties, so many things. So I'm to the point where most of my YouTube videos, if I'm doing something new, I'm just winging it, and it usually works out. Like, very rare am I remaking the actual ring. So that's...
Do you feel like your success, like, here we're starting out, a high school, like, thought idea. You push a Kickstarter, you get value, like validation, like, okay, we'll throw some money at this would be cool, make us some rings. You get out there, but you've now grown this empire to what I would question many even watching this. They're like, is there really a market for this? Like, is there really a niche for this? And because I'm watching this and I'm watching your YouTube channel, I'm like, if I can nail one principle, I'm curious if you agree, is you you went all in on the niche. You didn't go like crazy. You could have. But a majority of your videos, when I watch your videos, it's like moon dust. It's like I mean, there's all these different products, but they're all rings. And then there's here and there might be, like I said, I saw the one about the knife. But 90% are just rings, and I feel like you honed in on one niche. And some people would be like, well, you're never going to get to a 7-figure business. Did it turn to a 7-figure? I mean, has it been a 7-figure business?
Absolutely.
Guys, word of advice. This is where we talk about, I mean, a lot of people follow me in the real estate game. And we'll talk about wholesaling. And that's what I coach. I'm like, how to get the deeply discounted property, how to find the deal, be the deal finder. And then they get cute and they're like, well, I want to do a fix and flip. Much like if you're like, hey, I'm going to start making paperweights. Hey, I'm going to start making tennis rackets. But because you stayed your lane, and for those that stay their lane, you find out that some of the most successful people I've ever met is because they go all in on their niche and they're narrow focused. I mean, there's one of the greatest books I read was The One Thing, and Gary Keller just talks about hone in on one thing, be the master at the one thing, and watch you thrive.
That's cool. I think I agree with that. Like, look into stock options. And I look into it, and it's like you can get lost. You can spend 20 years mastering it. I watch this dude's YouTube channel. It's like so many people are obsessed with this, that, and that. Here's what I do. I wake up when the stock market opens. I got my coffee, I sit down at my desk. I look for this pattern. When I see this pattern, I know X, Y, and Z. I place my order. I go all in on this very, very simple, fundamental thing, and I get done, and I'm on with my day by 8 o'clock. That's all I do. I've got other side hustles I do. He's like a investor
day
and
trader.
all that. So,
and then investor.
So he he's just like, guys, keep it simple. Don't make it harder for yourself. Learn one thing. If you can make money off this one thing, just double down on that. Don't spread wide.
This is what we're talking about,
Compound.
guys. Okay?
Yep, so I think I really relate to that. And I think it's something I don't think I intuitively knew that. I don't think most people do.
Sure.
It's something I definitely learned with doing that cube thing. I was
Yeah.
like, well, that sucked. You know how much work it was to essentially start a whole new business, branding, pictures, images, style, figuring all that out.
That's not cheap, by the way, to do that.
No.
Whether it's you build it or not, your time's worth something.
Yeah. I spent so much time doing all that. I was like, I can't do that. But for a ring, it's just
$3
like
an hour, less
I've
than
got
minimum
my
wage.
template. Exactly. Yep. So I naturally kind of figured it out, and also just like if you're behind on 100 ring orders, you don't have time to start the next thing. So I've kind of naturally got stuck doing this, but I've also learned as I've gone. I'm like, this is what's working. This is like, I don't need to. If I spend a week and I start a new like pendant project line, it makes 1/10 of the money. It takes way more, just as much time. Like, why am I doing this? So I've kind of stopped branching out.
Sure.
Until we stop growing, I'm gonna stop branching out. Unless I got some.
Is this scalable? Like, do you have team that can come in and be like, you're the master, show what to do? Or are people coming, if it is scalable, or are people coming to you already ready, like they already knew how to do it? Or how does that look to scale a business?
It is kind of tricky. The manufacturing, we're very we want to be unique. If you can make something in China, it will be made in China, and it will be ripped off 100,000 times, and you're gonna definitely lose market share due to that. Yeah. So a lot of the rings I design are around that principle of like meteorite. You got to bid a big piece of meteorite. You got to cut it into slabs and then cut it out. You can't just get a rod of meteorite, throw it in a CNC lathe, and print out a bunch of rings.
I mean, it's a jagged piece, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to process that. It takes a lot of work. So
you just took it away from China.
Doesn't want to mess with
I say you just took it away.
Yep. So that kind of goes into a lot of what we do. It's like if this is easy to do, if anyone can do this, and it's helpful for us business wise. It keeps us unique. It keeps anyone from copying us. Sure. But again, like I said, it keeps us unique. Like, no one else does that because it's hard. Everyone else wants a business that you can just go to China and say, "Can you make this for me? Thank you." That's the easy thing. The hardest thing that I do day to day is our fulfillment of rings. Figuring out how to get people trained, how to get enough employees. It's very expensive to make stuff in the U.S. Sure. People aren't willing to pay a premium these days for stuff. So definitely a huge challenge. Yeah. But I think very much worth it because most of our stuff, and we're starting to see it copied. They're going to great lengths, with way more effort than I've seen in the past to do rings like ours. Sure. And like, not that that's a problem. Like, people are always going to copy you. I think people should accept that. Yeah, you could be upset about it, but like,
or be like, dude, how cool is that? Someone wants to copy.
Yeah. So just keep pushing it. You know? Do something even more ridiculous that China doesn't want to copy. Right. So, just keeping things unique is good, but it's also hard for the manufacturing of it all. It is. But it's scalable. You get it if you pay people enough, they're going to stick around. Yeah. So you get guys. You've got to make sure you got the profit margins to pay people enough. You know, like people sell themselves so short because they're in their basement with no expenses. And they're like, this is great. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to have to pay for lawyers every month. You have to pay rent. You have to pay insurance. You have to pay health insurance for people, workman's comp, taxes, salaries for people. You have to pay someone to box, pack, and ship. You have to pay yourself a salary legally. Like, there's a million things that people don't consider. And we get competitors who start up and they charge like a fourth as much of us, and everyone talks about how overpriced we are. It's like, it's because this dude, if you break down, he's doing it because he's passionate about it. Sure. If he broke it down, he's not making hardly anything. Right. So you got to make sure those margins are there so that you can afford to pay people a good, fair wage. And you can have good quality product. They're going to stick around. Over time, it takes a long time. You get experts who you train, and they become really good. And I've got people who've made more rings than I have who work for me. You know, they rank them out. They're so good at what they do. And they're sticking around. They can help train the next people. Yeah. So
do you ever have one where they come in, they get trained, and they're like, I'm going to go do this on my own? I mean, I make a lot of money.
Definitely have. You know, we've had, like, our marketing guy went and started his own company and thought that was all fine and dandy and stole our email list and all of that. Sure. So we've had negative run-ins. We've done a lot more. to kind of protect ourselves from that
Sure.
now. But there's only so much you can do.
That's right.
So
That's right.
we just kind of go with it, and hopefully our employees stick around. They do good work. We pay them, a fair wage. Why would they want to leave?
That's right.
Treat them right.
That's right.
So that has been helpful. It's definitely very slow going. That's why we're kind of slow to scale relatively. But I think kind of the sky's the limit in terms of our market cap. Jewelry is a huge, massive industry. It's only getting bigger. Same with e-commerce, same with YouTube. Everything we're doing is only growing.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep growing for a long time, and as long as we can keep our production up.
What's amazing is you're nailing so many principles, whether you know this or not.
Okay.
Like, this is the best part. You're scaling. You're like, we're slow to scale. The people that quickly scale are the ones that actually tip off.
Crash
quick.
and
So when
burn.
you're saying like slow to scale, I'm like, this guy just is finding all these gems by just magically falling apart. This was something that a lot of people want to scale. They just want to scale. I want to get a team in place. Well, if you scale too quick, it can be also your biggest death trap.
And you
It can
get
be what
so
kills most
inefficient
entrepreneurs.
as a company. You have people who are working. I bet you I've had employees that work at 25% efficiency.
Yeah.
Like I just had someone make 40 rings in one day, where we had someone making the same exact rings, making it a goal to do 5.
Oof.
Are you kidding?
It's like, who am I going to go with?
A
Who would I need
lot
more
of that is due to us dialing in our processes, and so they
What's
don't
capable.
they don't get all the discredit the person only doing 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you can't just tell someone to go out there and do their best and expect it to actually
That's
happen.
right. That's
So
right.
you gotta definitely take the time to watch over everything.
How long before you scaled? Like, I'm a solo wearing all the hats I brought my first
employee was 2017 summer. Let's see, that's a year and 2.5 years.
2.5 years in, wearing all the hats before you said, I'm ready.
Yep.
I've got a following. I've got people purchasing. I need to fulfill more orders. I'm going to now bring on
It was
someone I can train.
interesting. So YouTube is how I get people interested and get them ordering. So I post YouTube videos, and you could see my views kind of blowing up, going exponential, still on a small scale. But as that would happen, I'd get more and more orders. And then all of a sudden, I get too many orders. I don't have time to make videos.
Sure.
So no more videos, the views drop. And then I don't have any more orders, so I catch back up.
Sure.
And then I make
YouTube's
more
my
videos,
goal.
and it comes back up. So you see that literal wave pattern. You can see it in my YouTube.
So stay
stats.
consistent in your
And
content.
I'm just like, I need to hire someone, because that's not going to stop.
Yeah,
you know? If I can keep making content, the orders are going to keep coming in.
Yeah.
And I can keep.
Now, guys, this is, I haven't tapped onto this yet. I think this is a good time to say this. How many subscribers are on your ring making channel? Tell them what the channel is so they can see this.
Okay, it's Patrick Adair Designs. I think we're at 700.
It's like 738,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah.
And we sit here in real estate, we're like, man, we just capped 20,000 followers, or we just capped this stuff. 738,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. This is huge. How many years did it take from video 1 to where you're at today?
See, I started YouTube in 2016.
Okay.
February. So 4 full years, right? Is that how it works?
And you use it more for the marketing arm, the breadth.
The YouTube videos are kind of crazy out there, wild rings.
Yeah.
And then the website are more sensible. This is something you want to wear every day.
Yeah.
Something that's durable.
Yeah.
Something you want. So they watch that. That gets people excited. That makes them like me as a brand and as a person.
Yeah.
And then they want one of my rings. So they go to the website, and we've got something of pretty much every price range, whatever material they want, anything like that. So here's.
What's the most expensive ring you've sold? Made and sold.
$2,500 is our typical high end. I think we've maybe done a custom one that was $3,200 or something.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay. And what makes that unique? What kind of material are you using for someone to say, I want to spend $2,500?
So we've got one. We have our what is the rose gold and meteorite signature series ring. It's made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces.
Okay.
So each piece you have to machine the outside, the inside, the edge.
Yep.
Right edge, left edge.
Yep.
That's the same amount of work as making a ring. You know? So you pretty much have to do just as much work as it takes to make 5 rings in one ring. And then you've got rose gold there, very expensive, hundreds
Yep.
of dollars of that.
Yep.
And then meteorite, hundreds of dollars of meteorite.
Yep.
And then just like the tolerances required for something like that, really, really tight to fit them all in there elegantly.
Sure.
In a comfortable ring that's also going to be durable. Pretty tricky. So
That's awesome.
that's
What was
the
the
ring.
ultimate goal? You get into business.
Mhm.
I always love to see the entrepreneur's mindset. You want to get into business, and maybe it started as just like, hey, how cool, I could work for myself. But
Mhm.
as it's like grown and transformed over time, what's like your ultimate goal? What is entrepreneurship like? What's that leading you to? What's your end goal?
Well, that's kind of a tough question. There's like kind of two goals. One of them is to like branch out and have more variety.
Yeah.
I didn't really necessarily mean to get stuck into this crazy out there niche.
Yeah.
And the variety,
Which does, when we say 7 figures, what are we talking 7 figures?
like $3 million a year.
3 million a year, guys. This is crazy cool. 3 million a year off a crazy outside niche that probably many of you are saying, how do you even make a business out of this? 3 million, guys. Solid.
Yeah. So I kind of want to get a little more variety. With rings, I kind of like it. Like, think of it like this way. If someone says, hey, can you design me something cool? You're just kind of like stuck with crap. Like you don't get any ideas. If someone comes to you and say, design me a cup holder.
Yeah.
Now you're like, okay. Like for me, that's when my mind just starts racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour and all these ideas come to mind. You start thinking, okay, I could have a cup holder that like fit just perfectly, like a soda can, like
Yeah.
a beer koozie. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
That's when my mind starts racing. So I love rings. It gives me such a perfect starting point. Like,
Yeah.
here's my canvas. You have to have a blank canvas to have
That's
a blank
right.
canvas. If you've got nothing, you're like, what do I do? So the ring genre, that's my blank canvas. And
Yeah.
from there, the sky is the limit. So I do like it, and I still love it, but like 40 hours a week of straight rings for 5 years straight, it's wearing on me. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to burn out.
But you got a team in place, you got a process in
Yeah.
place to help relieve you and
Yeah,
be like, where you're
absolutely.
working on your business, not in your business.
Yeah, exactly. If I
Okay.
want to focus on the YouTube production, I can do that. That's probably where my time is most valuable in terms of revenue for the company.
Yep.
But there's a lot of other things I can do. I can go hone in on our manufacturing processes or redesign our packaging, so I can keep it fresh for myself and
Yeah.
still have it be very valuable to the company.
Yeah.
But I like branching out. I love YouTube as a whole, so I want to branch out, do like car content. That's the next thing I want to do,
Sweet.
doing car builds, all of
Sweet.
that.
We're
So-
gonna be talking about that here
Yeah,
in a second
we'll
too. I saw what you
definitely
pulled
make-
up in.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's a huge kind of hobby of mine, something I like.
Yeah.
But as far as like business goes, scale-wise, I think we just want to get it to the point where we've hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's been on my mind. I feel like that's the most boring. Like I don't have a number in mind or anything like that. It's like I want to see this thing through. Like I want it to reach its full
Sure.
potential.
Sure.
So in order to do that, we got to keep, producing our YouTube videos, increasing our ad spend, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. All of those have become increasingly more and more important for our bottom line as a company. So improving our ability to do that.
Yeah.
Right now, sometimes we're held back because we can't make enough rings, so we don't want to go crazy with our ad spend and budget and stuff like that. So I would love to see the day where the company is running smooth as silk. We're getting rings shipped out. Everyone loves
Yeah.
the rings. That's something that's very hard, is to grow and still make just as good of a quality ring. So we're growing nice and
But
slowly.
at 23 years old, my friend, is it right? It's 23?
Yep.
At 23 years old, I think you're doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, I think we'll get there. And yeah, it's just kind of slow and steady, but
Phenomenal.
give us a few years, we should be there.
All right, guys, here's the recap. 3 things. Number 1 is go all in on your niche. You don't need to explore a ton of options to have a thriving 7-figure business. Go all in. Number 2 is there's more than enough money that can be made simply being the deal finder and wholesaling homes. You don't need to get into the fix and flip and all these other areas of real estate. You can just hone in and there's more than enough money. $3 million, guys, in just simply making rings. Who would have thought when you watch this that it was going to be a ring maker doing 7 figures? Crazy. And the third one is you master step number 1, what we learned, and you will get to your hobby phase where you can drive some fun cars just like Patrick did. Now guys, if you want to follow Patrick, we'll leave a link down below so you can learn more about his rings and learn more about his story in general. But also while you're here, I want you to leave a comment down below. Any questions you have, feel free to ask them. I look forward to these questions all the time. I answer them by myself. And ultimately, you can put in there who you would like to see next on this channel so I can get some interviews out there. And while you're here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so it alerts you when we put fresh new content up, and I'll see you on the next video.